Motivation on a go with Shay on today. Hello to everybody tuning in with me on today. I hope your day has started off well, y'all. And remember, if it has not, okay, there are still hours in the day to turn that around, okay? As long as you are above ground and there is breath in your lungs, there's an opportunity to turn things around. You just got to keep in mind that, we're not going to always be here, y'all. We got to keep in mind that how do I want to word this? You have to keep in mind that you're not guaranteed tomorrow and you're not even guaranteed, the next few hours of the day. And when we keep that in mind, there's a sense of urgency to turn things around. All right. So don't let a bad moment, a bad experience, or something you're going through, even if temporary, keep you down. There is an opportunity to turn things around. All right. Motivation on the go with Shay on today. Again, I hope you guys are doing well. All right. As we are getting into this weekend, I hope you are being safe. I hope you are advancing in life in all areas of life. I hope you are flourishing in the direction of positivity. We don't want to fall backwards. We want to strive to go forward. Okay. All right, y'all. So let's hop into this motivation on the go with Shay on today. Y'all, as long as we continuously give the wrong people access to us, the less likely they are to change. Why would you have to change if you can be toxic, if you can be arrogant, if you can be just difficult? I mean, there's so many things we can name here. Why would you feel the inclination to change if you can still gain complete access to those you've caused injuries to? And I know it's hard, y'all, because in order to truly hurt someone, especially deep down to their soul, you have to have access. Think about it. If you didn't have access, it wouldn't hurt them so bad. So typically, the most pain that we endure is coming from people that we've given complete access. And I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, just like God gives us. People can change, y'all. But the truth of the matter is, you have to want to change. And sometimes we want others to change more than they want to change themselves. And that can lead to us falling back, giving access to people who don't deserve it. I don't care if it's your family member. I don't care if it's your relative, your friend. It doesn't matter who it is. People are less inclined to change when people just, brush off their transgressions, continuously to allow them access, continuously allow them to, move along in their folly. That's not going to want anyone, or should I say, that's not going to cause anyone to stop and think, oh, wow, I just may need to change. I tell you, the wrong people don't think like that. As long as you continuously give them that access, they they don't have a lot of reasoning within their souls to want to do better. Sometimes you have to cut that access, let people sit in their folly, in their pain, and whatever. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people have shame and pain, but you just may not see it. Sometimes that ego or pride will make it appear that people, oh, they just don't care. You have no idea. Don't fall for that okey doke. Sometimes you just have to cut that access. Okay. Sometimes you have to distance yourself, if that makes sense. But just know that you're doing it for the best. All right, sorry about that, y'all. I had to pause out for a brief second because my big boy came in asking me something. But yeah, guys, tough love is still love. You don't have to hurt people's feelings. You don't have to, go at their gut. But sometimes the truth, well, actually not sometimes, the truth is necessary. You have to show people, and a lot of times that showing them is way better than telling them. Sometimes people do decide, you know what? Wow, I really need to make a change, especially when they're being held accountable. But when we don't hold people accountable, they continue on in their folly. Remember, I talked about a lot, and I'm sure you guys have heard it just in life in general, about bad association. And bad association truly does ruin useful habits. This is one thing that a lot of us, I know we've all been guilty of. You feel like, well, that's my friend, but it's not me. Y'all, God has yet to get it wrong. Bad association ruins you useful habits. You hang around people who are untrue or cruel or wicked or messy, or they're a gossiper. 9 times out of 10, you will slowly pick up those same habits, and it's going to wreak havoc. And it's not going to just affect you, it's going to affect people you are attached to. I like to use the example with a married person. And don't get me wrong, you can't have single friends who are wholesome, that are upright, and that's not the ones I'm talking about. But if you're married, you're in a marriage and you hang with people, none of these people are married. The men and women are promiscuous, they're little deviants, and you're the only married person in that circle. Don't you know that that's going to eventually affect your marriage? It's going to happen in a subtle way. It's going to happen slowly. You may not want to admit it, but I bet you your partner will know exactly what I'm talking about. Bad company ruins useful habits. You could be trying to, have a wonderful marriage, but outside of the time you spend in your marriage, you're hanging with people who, they don't care about marriage. Some of them may be married themselves. They don't care about cheating. The single ones don't care about fornicating. These people will have a major influence on you. Next thing you know, your marriage is in trouble land. I'm telling you right now, are in troubled waters. And if we're not honest with ourselves, we'll blame our mate. We'll blame our mate for realizing that we've changed, that we've slowly gone off course. We're picking up these habits, these ways, these teachings, this, that, and it's going to affect your marriage. And that's just a very good example to give. It can also apply to a relationship, y'all. God has yet to get it wrong. Bad association is going to ruin useful habits. The more time we spend around others who, they don't even share the same morals, the same but I don't want to say beliefs, because you got to be around people who are well, I guess it just depends on the complexity of those beliefs. Okay, because if you believe in light and they believe in dark, 9 times out of 10 you will be consumed over into darkness, especially if your faith isn't solidified in God. Remember, the scripture says that even some of the chosen can be persuaded in the opposite direction, and I've witnessed that happen in my own life. We have to be very, very careful. All right, and I know they kind of got off topic for a minute, but it happens a lot. It truly does happen a lot. But back to the topic at hand, you know, um, you have to set boundaries. You have to stop allowing and giving people access to your life when they are showing no signs of being better. They're comfortable in their sin. They're comfortable in their transgressions, maybe not even just to you, but towards others. Y'all, we got to get to this point where we can cut off that access. And it's not going to be easy, because it could be a loved one. It could be a spouse, honey. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be a sibling. It could be a best friend. And that's often why we continue on in these relationships without basically just keeping it real with them. Like, hey, look, you need to A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Not enough of us today do that, and we don't hold our loved ones accountable. So when are they going to grow? Where is their growth going to come from if we just continuously pat them on their back, knowing they're full of folly? Why do we continuously do that? And I can tell you right now, it's because of the love. It be because of the love you have for them. And I completely understand that. But at some point in time, we have to get to the place where we understand that, you know what, I can love you, but I can't change you. So we have to go and take a look back at this access that I'm giving you to my life, to my body, to my soul. It's time to go and tweak that a little bit. Because if people are not denied access, or if they do not get limited access, they are not going to change. Again, what inclination are they going to have? Oh, well, I can still do this because I know I can still go over here. I can still hang with my buddy, or I can still, whatever, whatever. Please, y'all, this is something that sounds very simple, but I know firsthand that it's not. It is a struggle. And one thing that happened for me was inculcating more prayer into my life, because I'm going to tell y'all, it is not easy to sever ties. It is not easy to set firm boundaries. It is not easy to have to restrict access. Again, this access can go for people that you have close bonds with. You're in committed relationships with. In some cases, you've entered a covenant with them. So how do you do it then? Prayer is the way to go. I know it's what's helped me, and I'm sure many of you guys can attest to that as well. Prayer truly is the one thing that helps above anything else, y'all. So again, I say to you guys on today, we have to go back and take a look at the access we give others to our lives, especially those who have brought trouble into our little worlds, quote unquote, be it intentionally or unintentionally. But a person's actions, sometimes you have to sit back and just watch, because words are very powerful and people could use wordplay to manipulate you. A good example of that is someone constantly telling you what they'll do, telling you how they're going to change, telling you how much they love you or they care, etc. But what does their actions show? In a case as such, that is nothing but pure manipulation. That wordplay, y'all, you got to be careful with it, because we'll be holding on to the words of people, and that will override our discernment. We're not even looking at the actions. Okay. So sometimes that access, you got to go and sit, listen, you got to go back to the drawing board. You got to make some deep, you know, you got choices to make. Or should I say, I don't want to say choices. No, let's not say that. You have some deep thinking to do. And again, it's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to be easy. But if I could motivate or encourage you today to sit down, take some time with yourself, go to that drawing board, meditate, and truly think deeply before you make the next move in your life. Because people have a way of holding you back or holding you down, and you don't realize it's because the access they still have to you. It doesn't mean they can't go on and be better. It doesn't mean they can't go on and be great. But as long as they're not bringing that into your life, you gotta look at that access. You gotta set some firm boundaries. And again, it's going to be hard, because with some people, your heart is tied into it. But when I tell you, God will give you the strength and the peace of mind. And when I say peace of mind, because sometimes you'll feel sad for having to set such a boundary. And that's completely okay. Let me tell you that it is completely okay. That just means you're operating from the right heart space. Yeah, you feel bad when you have to limit a person's access. Yeah, you feel bad when you have to set firm boundaries. Of course you do, especially towards a loved one. Of course. But if it has to be done, y'all, it's just that it has to be done. And one thing about the goodness of God, and when you draw closer to God, you find a new sense of self-worth. God builds you up from the inner. And things that you've accepted at one point in time in your life, you'll find that, honey, with a mind makeover, you'll never accept it again. So what do you do with that? Now you got to go and check off what needs to be closed off or what needs to be tweaked. And that's when we get into limiting access, firm boundaries. It's for your well-being. A taker loves taking, honey. A taker will take whatever you have to give. And especially when there's no pushback coming with it. Oh, I can just do what I want to do. So you got to think about that. We got to get past what we um want, or stop leaning on a person's potential, because they'll potentially have you sitting there forever waiting on a change that's not coming. All right. And that's my motivation and encouragement for today. As long as they have access, and they're not the best of person, What inclination do they have to change or to work on self? They don't, because we keep giving them access. So they don't even know what it feels like to truly go without you. They don't know what it truly feels like for you to say no. They don't know what it truly feels like for you to give them the cold shoulder. All of these things that at one point in time they may have given you without even thinking twice. But they expect you to still be there with open arms no matter what they do. Y'all, it's time to wake up from that. That is a trick there, honey. That's some mad manipulation going on. And it's not a you problem, it's a them problem. So if you go in and set some limitations via access, via boundaries, you'll notice that you'll gain peace. It's not about them. You will gain a sense of peace. Again, it will be hard initially. It will be hard initially, but it will benefit you in the long run. Okay. And again, that's my motivation on the go for today, y'all. And again, as long as you are above ground, there's time to turn things around. But let's not lose focus and think that we have all the time in the world, because you don't have all the time in the world. Okay. You don't. So let's strive to be better people daily. And sometimes a part of you being better is being hindered because you don't know how to draw the line. You don't know how to set up firm boundaries. You don't know how to limit access. And again, it's okay. It's okay. We've all been there, honey, because when the heart is tied into things, or when you're truly working from a positive, pure heart space, you like to see the best in others, no matter what they do. They dog you out, you see the best in them. They take from you, you see the best in them. They manipulate you, oh, you still seeing the best in them. There's nothing wrong with that, but honey, you got to set some limitations. You have to set some limitations, because everyone's intentions are not pure. They're not. And I hate to break it to you, sometimes mom's intentions aren't pure. Sometimes dad's intentions aren't pure. Sometimes that man or woman you're laying with, you vow the rest of your life to. Sometimes those intentions just aren't pure. Doesn't mean they started out that way. That's why we need to make sure that the armor that the scriptures talk about is always intact. Satan is always looking for a means to attack, and the family unit is always going to be first. We have to divide and conquer. I couldn't conquer you when you were with that strong woman. I couldn't conquer you when you were being positively influenced. People were pouring into you. I couldn't conquer you, says the devil. But if I can come in and cause some division, oh, I can swallow you whole then. Y'all, don't downplay the tactics of that trickster energy, that trickster spirit, which comes from the father of the lie. And he'll go into overdrive to divide. And the reasoning being is so that he can conquer. It's a message. All right, y'all. Motivation on the go with Shay on today. Enjoy this weekend. Be safe. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. Okay. All right. Peace out. Bye bye.